Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet. Nashtapaye Shavadesho Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 10th chapter, text number 16. Kas Tvam Niguras Charasi Vijanam Bibharshi Sutram Katamo Avaduta Kasyasi Kutratya Ihapim Kasmat Kshemaya Nas Ched Asi Nota Shukla Kastvam Nigodas Charasi Dvijanam Bibashi Sutram Kantamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratya Ihapi Kasmat Shemaya Naschetasi Nota Shuklaha Kastvam Nigodas Charasi Dvijanam Bibharshi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratya Ihapi Kasmat Shemaya Naschetasi Nota Shuklaha Kastvam Nigodas Charasi Dvijanam Bibharshi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratya Ihapi Kasmat Kshemaya Naschetasi Nota Shuklaha Kastvam Nigodas Charasi Dvijanam Vibhashi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratya Ihapi Kasmat Shemaya Naschetasi Nota Shuklaha. Kastvam Nigodas Charasi Dvijanam Vibhashi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratya Ihapi Kasmat Shemaya Naschetasi Nota Shuklaha Kastvam Nigodas Charasi Dvijanam Vibhashi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Hapi Kutratya Ihapi Kasmat Kshimayanaschetasinota Shuklaha. Matajis? Kastvam Nigodas Charasit Vijanam Vibashi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratyaya Pikasmat Kshimayanaschetasinota Shuklaha. Katvam, who are you? Nigura, very much covered. Charasi, you move within this world. Vijanam, among the Brahmanas or saintly persons. Bibharshi, you also wear. Sutram, the sacred thread belonging to the first class Brahmanas. Katama, which Avadhuta, highly elevated person. Kasyasi, whose are you? Whose disciple or son are you? Kutratya, from where? Ihapi, here in this place. Kasmat, for what purpose? Kshimaya, for the benefit. Na, of us. Chet, if. Asi, you are. Nauta, or not. Shuklaha, the personality of pure mode of goodness. Kapil Dev. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. King Rahugan said, O Brahmana, you appear to be moving in this world very much covered and unknown to others. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahmana and saintly person? I see that you are wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints such as Dattatreya and other highly advanced, learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here to do good for us? Please let me know who you are. Purport. Maharaj Rahugan was very anxious to receive further enlightenment in Vedic knowledge because he could understand that Jar Bharat belonged to a Brahmana family either by disciplic succession or by birth in a Brahmana dynasty. As stated in the Vedas, Tad Vigyatam Sa Gurum Eva Vigachat. Rahugan was accepting Jar Bharat as a guru, but the guru must prove his position not only by wearing a sacred thread, but by advancing knowledge and spiritual life. It is also significant that Rahugan asked Jar Bharat which family he belonged to. There are two types of families, one according to dynasty and the other according to disciplic succession. In either way, one can be enlightened. The word Shukla refers to a person in the mode of goodness. If one wants to receive spiritual knowledge, he must approach a bona fide Brahmana guru, either in the disciplic succession or in a family of learned Brahmanas. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshodan Meridam Yanam Dasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manabestam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakantvidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Ganta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyahevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kastam Nigudascharasi Dijanan Vibhashi Sutram Katamo Vadutaha Kasyasi Kutratta Ihapikasmat Kshemaya Naschet Asinota Shuklaha. King Rahugan said, O Brahmana, you appear to be moving in this world very much covered and unknown to others. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahmana and saintly person? I see that you are wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints such as Dattatreya and other highly advanced learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here to do good for us? Please let me know who you are. So the great exalted Jad Bharat was here engaged carrying the palanquin of King Rahugan. And since he was greatly advanced, he was very concerned not to hurt any other living entity. So when the ants were walking on the path, so he was trying to avoid stepping on them. And therefore the palanquin was not evenly going and was shaking. Because the other three carrying the palanquin, they were not caring for anything. They were simply doing their duty as carriers for the king. But Jad Bharat, because of his being realized, so he tried to avoid hurting any living entity. And so that caused that the palanquin was not going evenly, and the king was then, of course, sitting on the palanquin, and he was shaking, and he was feeling disturbed. He was disturbed, and so he stopped and told them to carry nicely. And of course, the others, they were telling the king that it is actually this new person here, because Jad Bharat had just come because one of the other ones was not able to carry properly. So Jad Bharat, he took the humble position, and he was acting just like a dumb, just like a crazy person. The king, so he tried to tell him to do his duty properly, and then they were continuing. But again, it happened that he was trying to take care not to hurt anybody, and it was going as before. So then the king, he became angry, and he chastised him very severely. And of course then, as in the previous verse, Bharat Maharaj, Jad Bharat, who was in his previous life, Bharat Maharaj, a great exalted personality. On the platform of Bhav, it is explained. So as we know, the different levels are there of bhakti. First, as explained by Rupa Goswami, Shraddha, first one has faith in the process of devotional service, and then in the association of the saintly persons, sadhus, in the sadhu sangha, then one can properly execute devotional service, bhajana kriya. And then all the unwanted things, anarthas, they are washed away. And then when the anarthas are washed away, then one can be fixed, nishtha. But even on the platform of nishtha, some anarthas are there, but they are not disturbing the devotee, because he's fixed in serving the Lord, in chanting the holy names, in remembering the Lord. And then as he continues, he gets transcendental taste, ruchi, for chanting the holy names and serving the deities, so much so that he's not able to do anything else which is detrimental to his further development of devotional service. And then he becomes completely attached to Krishna, Sakti, and detached from this material world. And then he's properly situated on the transcendental platform. And after that, the bhavavastha is there, where the realization is quite strong of his personal relationship with Krishna, being completely apart from this material body, situated Atma Tattva on the platform of the soul, in the realized position, understanding that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. And on this platform, the transcendental emotions are coming from the soul, directly, nothing to do with this material body. So he was on that exalted platform, and which is just before the highest stage of prem. So bhav is also known as prem ankur. It is the sprouting of prem, of pure love of Krishna. Just like you have a plant, you sow a seed and then it is sprouting. If you have a mango seed, you put in the ground, you put water, and then it will sprout, and then it will grow slowly. Sisigoni Tai ki, Krishna Balaram ki, Radha Shama Sundar ki. So bhav is known as premankur. It is the sprouting of pure love of Krishna. So he was on that highly elevated platform. But the material energy is so strong, and therefore it is mentioned in scriptures that we have to be extremely careful in our execution of devotional service, in dealing with others, so that we may not offend anybody, so that we may not become attached to anything in this material world. And it is also mentioned that we should never trust our mind, our material mind, our consciousness, unless and until we are fully self-realized. When we see ourselves as spirit soul, completely apart from the gross and subtle body, and realize our spiritual relationship with Krishna in Braj. So unless and until we are on that platform, we have to be extremely careful. And because Maya is very strong. So here Bharat Maharaj, he was on the platform of Bhav, but then he became attached to a deer, to a small deer who had lost his mother. And so because it is natural for the devotee to be very compassionate and he wants to help others. So then he was helping this deer, but he became attached, and then he neglected his spiritual activities, and then he fell from that position, from his spiritual exalted position. And he became then a deer. And then, as we know, but because of his previous consciousness, he remembered that his previous life, and so therefore he stayed with the sadhus. And so then he just waited for the time to pass, and then he gave up that body, and then he became Jad Bharat, and he could still remember his previous activities. So therefore he was extremely careful, and he decided not to mix with any materialistic person. So purposefully he behaved just like a crazy person, and he was not speaking properly. He was not doing what his father was telling him, although his father, he was from an exalted Brahmana family. And and it is mentioned he had 2 wives, and so the first wife was there, and he had 9 9 sons from the first wife and then from the second wife. So Jad Bharat was there. So 1 son and then he had 1 sister also, Jad Bharat. So his father very much tried to educate him, give him transcendental knowledge, give him spiritual education as is the duty of the Brahmana. But Jad Bharat, he was situated on the transcendental platform and he didn't want to be disturbed by the so-called even education, even though sometimes the spiritual education is there, but many times it becomes external, as it is seen in the society. Even in India, there are many brahmanas, but they are not completely absorbed on the spiritual transcendental platform, but they are attached to the ritualistic ceremonies according to the Vana ashram. But still they have to be respected, but that has to be transcended also. This external platform and this consideration, I'm a Brahmana, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm this or that, or even as devotees we know that we are not this body, but sometimes we can see devotees are doing everything and they're trying of course their best to advance, but then many times they're situated on the external platform and identifying with their position. And so because Maya is very strong, so one has to be extremely careful. So therefore Jad Bharat, he was extremely careful, and he didn't simply want to become a normal Brahmana and become implicated in ritualistic activities dealing with materialistic persons. So his father tried to give him even the sacred thread, but he was giving him the Gayatri mantra, but he didn't feel necessary, and so he didn't pronounce the mantras properly. But as it is seen here, still somehow or the other, by force, because as a father it was natural that he wanted his son to be a good Brahmana. So still somehow he gave him the Brahman thread. And he tried to give it the mantra, although he was not reciting properly. But then after some time, as it is natural, he gave up the body. And then the stepbrothers of Jad Bharat, they neglected him, and then he didn't care, of course. And then ultimately he left, and so these persons, they took him as carrier, and so then King Rahugan, so then he realized, and after, as he spoke, as in yesterday's verse, that he's not just an ordinary person, and he's just carrying, although he was very strong and strongly built, and although he was a Brahmana, but still he had a beautiful body, although he was covered because he was not regularly taking bath, and therefore his Brahma Teja, his spiritual effulgence was covered, and so therefore he could not immediately recognize, although the king, he was also quite learned, but he was in a mode of passion, as it is natural for one who is a king or is in the administration. So sometimes because of dealing with materialistic persons and having to deal with undesirable personalities sometimes, so then one is affected. So therefore, he could not recognize immediately. But then as it is mentioned in scriptures that as long as a person is not talking, so he may be even accepted as something special, even as a Brahmana, but as soon as one speaks, then it is revealed how much he's really a Brahmana or how much he's exalted. So as soon as Jad Bharat spoke, then he could immediately realize that he's a great exalted personality. And then he immediately took shelter, or he offered obeisances to him. And then, so then he was asking some questions. Katvam, who are you? And then also insignificant here it is mentioned, Kasya asi, whose are you? In other words, whose disciple are you? Whose son are you? So that was previously always the case. Any learned person, so he had actually Parichai Patra. So he was carrying some kind of paper explaining where he's coming from, in whose dynasty he took birth, and who is his spiritual master, what he has studied. So introductory letter. Even in our case, we can see in our society nowadays, if one devotee wants to go another temple and he wants to stay in the temple, then immediately the temple commander or the one who is taking care of the bhaktas, like Saranga Thakur, he will ask, where is your letter? Your introduction letter. Where are you coming from? Who is your Guru Maharaj? So what have you been doing? So that is required. So it was even in bygone ages. So of course, even before that, the introduction was verbal also, but in many places the Parichai Patra was there. So here he was inquiring for him, so whose disciple are you? And Prabhupada is mentioning that there are actually two types of families. One is according to dynasty, and the other one is according to disciplic succession. And both of them are actually bona fide, provided that the personalities are actually qualified. So, for example, the dynasty is there according to the father, who is the father, the grandfather here from the Brahmana family, Bharatvaj, Gotra, Gautam, Rishi, Vashishta, Gotra. The different Gotras are there from the great saintly personalities. And then most of them, they were householders, and then the dynasty was continued. But they were greatly realized souls, great personalities. So they were able to guide the disciples, and their children also. And as Prabhupada is mentioning here, so the qualification must be there. And then one will get this transcendental knowledge, and then one can advance. So one is the family dynasty is there, but many times we can see that nowadays that the stress is given to the family dynasty, but the potency is not so much there anymore because of not being very strict in adhering to the religious principles which are given, especially in the Kali Yuga by Kali Yuga Avatar Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is especially by chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But not simply chanting the holy names, but chanting the holy name with the proper bhav. So that is required. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he came to give the Yuga Dharma, but then especially he also came to give Braj Bhav. So therefore while chanting we should chant with Braj Bhav. And also it is mentioned that Sambandha Gyan should be there. We should chant being situated on a transcendental platform, and so realizing our relationship with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, and then also the relationship is there with Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna, and then with this Sambandha Gyan we may chant the holy names, and with the bhav which we get from the spiritual master by reading the scriptures. And as Prabhupada said, every day we should read the Krishna book, so that we may remember Krishna and his wonderful pastimes in Braj, which are of two kinds, the Aprakat Leela and the Prakat Leela. And we should hear both of them, so that we may become absorbed, and while chanting we may remember the beautiful transcendental form of Krishna, Sham Sundar, Tribang Lalit, Kasturi Tilakam, Lalata Patale, Vaksastale Kaustubam, Nasagre Varamuktitam, Kartale Venu Kankanam, Sarvanga Harichandanam, Sulitam Kantechu Muktavali, Gopastri Pariveshtito, Vijayade, Gopal Churamani. So we should remember that Krishna, that Shama Sundar, who is the crest jewel of all the cowboys, Gopal Churamani. Gopas Tripariveshtito is always surrounded by the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, Lalita Vishaka, the Ashtashakis. And on his forehead he has Kasturi, Tilak. So of course Krishna's Tilak is not just as we usually paint the deities, but actually it is simply a dot. But since Mahaprabhu appeared and then the Gaudiya Vaishnavas by tradition, they put the tilak what we put also for Krishna. But Krishna, he usually just has a dot. And even when we see in tradition, when some personality is coming to one's place and then they will give some chandan or they will apply tilak. Or in the marriage ceremony, the girl's parents are welcoming the bridegroom and then they're applying tilak, and that is simply a dot. And that is made with kasturi, the very fragrant substance from the deer. And then, so on his forehead, so he has this very beautiful kasturi tilakam. But Krishna is so beautiful. So it is not that the kasturi tilakam is enhancing his beauty or the fragrance of his body. Without that, even Krishna is so beautiful. And even the necklaces are there, but they are not adding to the beauty. Without necklaces also Krishna is so beautiful. And the fragrance from his body is unparalleled. So but the kasturi, the tilak, they're becoming glorified because they are applied on Krishna. So and he's always holding a flute in his hands, and he has armlets, and he's anointed with chandan, and he has a beautiful mukti mala, pearl mala. So in this way we should remember the beautiful form of Krishna while chanting the holy names. So therefore we have to hear about Krishna and his wonderful transcendental form, qualities and pastimes. And then it is possible to remember him. And then we may remember his pastimes also. So it is a matter of cultivation and practice. So we have to practice becoming Krishna conscious. So Krishna conscious means conscious of Krishna, the personality Krishna, with his beautiful form. So therefore every day we have to have the darshan of Krishna, and we have to hear about Krishna and his qualities and pastimes. And then only we can remember Krishna. There's one verse also by Dhyan Chandra Goswami, disciple of Gopal Guru, who is disciple of Akreshwar Pandit, dear associate of Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu gave the name to Gopal as he was a small boy. And so he became known as Gopal Guru. And he was taking care of Radhakant Mat in Puri, where Mahaprabhu was staying also. That belonged actually to Kashishwar. Another associate of Mahaprabhu was taking also care of the temple of Puri. And so there he has Radhakant Mat is there, and Mahaprabhu was staying there in the Gambhira. Next to the deities there in the place of Kashi Mishra. Kashi Mishra's house was there. And so his disciple Dhyan Chandra Goswami, he wrote one book about the process of worshipping the Lord with spontaneous love, and there he has given one verse. Because he has explained that we have to worship the deities, but we have to chant the holy names, we have to chant the Gayatri mantras. And this way we may be absorbed. So even just worshipping the deities is not enough, but we have to glorify the Lord, we have to chant holy names, we have to hear about Krishna. Then the seva will be complete. So there he has also explained, Dhyayen Vrindavan Ramyastana Gopa Gopir Alankrite Kadamba Padabatale Jamana Jala Shitale Radha Saitam Krishnam Vamsivarana Tatparam Tribangalaritam Devam Bhaktanugraha Karakam. So he is explaining that, Dhyan Chandra Goswami, that before chanting the Mahamantra, so we may chant this mantra. So in this way our consciousness is fixed. In Vrindavan, Dhyayen Vrindavan Ramyastane, in beautiful, very beautiful place, Vrindavan. And there Krishna is there, Radha Saitam Krishnam is there together with Srimati Radharani. But also Gopa Gobir Alankrite, he is decorated. So his associate, so very beautiful picture is there of Krishna And then his associates, the cowboys, the cows. So therefore it is mentioned he's decorated by the cows and the cowboys. And he's there, Kadamba Padabatale. They are situated under a beautiful Kadamba tree, which is representing Srimati Radharani. So Jamuna Jala Shitale, next to the Jamuna river, just like at Vamsivat. There also, of course, Vamsivat is there, Banin tree is there. And then, so he's always adept in playing the flute. Tribanga Lalitam Devam. So he's a Dev Adidev, he's the God of the gods. And his form is bent in three places, very beautiful. Bhaktanugraha Karakam, and he's always ready to give the mercy to his devotees who are remembering him, who are surrendering to him. And then he's giving the mercy not only directly, but actually mostly through his devotees, through his representative, through the pure devotee. The mercy is actually coming of Krishna. It is Krishna's mercy, but it is coming through the devotee who is surrendered to Krishna. And is explaining that is actually the spiritual master. So we have to get transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master. But as explained here by Prabhupada, that the qualification should be there of the spiritual master. Because many times we see that somebody is posing as a spiritual master, but the necessary qualification is not there. So simply taking birth in a Brahmana family, or even, so to say, even being a disciple of a spiritual master is not necessarily after the spiritual master leaves, the disciple may initiate if he is qualified. It is not that anyone can initiate, the qualification should be there. So he should be Shastravit, he should know the Shastra, Vedantavit, he should know the conclusion of the Vedas, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Siddhantavit, he should know the conclusion of the philosophy of the scriptures, especially in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. What is the Siddhanta? So he should know that. Rasa Tattvavit, he should have the transcendental realization about the loving pastimes of Krishna in Braj. Rasa Tattva is there. That is, when one is realized on the transcendental platform, realizing his relationship with Krishna, either in Dasya Ras or Sakya Ras or Vatsalya Ras or Madhurya Ras. So one who is actually realized, in this is actually Rasik Vaishnav. So, and he can actually give this transcendental knowledge to others. So that actually ultimately should be the qualification of the disciple, so that he may also initiate. But he will always remain in a humble position. He will never think, I am Guru. No, he will think, I am the servant of my spiritual master. I am the servant of the Supreme Lord. I am Chaitanya Das. I am the servant of Mahaprabhu. Krishna Das. I am the servant of Krishna. I am the servant of the Vaishnavas. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, if one is saying, I am Guru, he is not Guru, but he is Guru. He is just like a cow. A cow is very nice and worshipable, but still, what knowledge can the cow give? So still by worshipping the cow, there's benefit there, but we cannot get this transcendental knowledge. What will the cow say? More. Very nice, but what you can learn from that? We need transcendental knowledge. Knowledge. So Gyan has to be received from the spiritual master, Tadvidi Padipatana Prashna Sevaya, by being in a humble mood, by doing seva also, and then by inquiring. Inquiry has to be there. And then the spiritual master being pleased, being realized, he not only has knowledge, Gyan, but he has Vigyan, his transcendental realization. So then he is qualified to give this transcendental knowledge, and then the disciple, he will be benefited and he can come to the highest platform by the mercy of the spiritual master. So either in disciplic succession, so it is there, the spiritual master may be there, or he may be, especially from a Brahmana family, as explained here, that he must approach a bona fide Brahmana guru. So sometimes some people say in India that one must be in a Brahmana family and then only he can be guru. But actually that is not the statement of the Shastras. And even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was saying, Kippa Vippa Kibanasi Shurakainai, Yei Krishna Tattva Veta Sei Guru Hai. It doesn't matter if one is a Vipra, Brahmana, or a Nyasi, sannyasi, or he may even be a Shudra. But if he knows Krishna, Tattva Veta, if he has knowledge of Krishna Tattva, if he is realized, not just simply Gyan but Vigyan, he should have realized knowledge. Even though he may be so-called Shudra, externally speaking, by having taken birth in a Shudra family or even lower, but if he is following, if he has accepted initiation from the bona fide spiritual master, and then by qualification he becomes a Vaishnava, then he is even above the Brahmana. A Vaishnava is even above the Brahmana. And then of course so even if it's a Shudra, Shudra means even a Grihastha, because usually Shudras, they are always married. But nevertheless, if he's realized, if he has transcendental realization of his Swarup, of his relationship with Krishna, then he is qualified to give this transcendental knowledge to others, and he may be qualified to initiate and then deliver those who are taking shelter of him. So here King Rahugan, so he realized that this is not just simply an ordinary person, but he's a great personality. By hearing from him, he could realize, and therefore he bowed down to him, and he was, as a matter of etiquette, he was asking, whose son are you, or whose disciple are you? So that is the matter of etiquette. And then usually, in this way, of course, the spiritual master is always transcendently situated, but if the disciple is qualified, then actually he will continue giving this transcendental knowledge, and in this way he will enhance or continue the glory of the disciplic succession and the spiritual master. Yes, so then he was, then he inquired, please let me know who you are. And as explained here, actually he was an eager to get more transcendental instructions. So one should not simply have a spiritual master, like many times you may see. Yes, here in India, of course, India is a very most pious place, most holy place, most wonderful place is India, especially because the holy places are there. Sri Vrindavan Dham, Mayapur Dham, and Jagannath Puri Dham, and there are thousands of holy places. In the Western world, or even maybe towards the other side like China and Japan, maybe some holy places are there, but they're very rare. Because ultimately even the whole world was before known as Bharatvarsha, but then it shrunk to a very small size as it is now. So still there are some holy places in the outside of Bharat Bhumi also, but not many. But here in Bharat Bhumi there are so many holy places. So it is very most special place. So it is our good fortune to be here. And what was the point about the holy place? The spiritual master? Yeah, no, the point was actually sometimes the persons here in India, because in the West they don't even know about anything about that we should take shelter of the spiritual master. But in India everybody knows, I need Guru, I have to go to Guru. But many times then they go to Gurudev and touch the feet, please Ashirvad de do, please give blessings. But they only touch the feet, and then they're not inquiring anything. And even then the spiritual master may say, chant Hare Krishna. Yes, but then how much they are chanting. So, but now one has to be very serious in executing the order of the spiritual master, and then the blessings will be there. So the spiritual master has to be qualified, but also the disciple has to be qualified. So that is explained also in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. So the spiritual master is absorbed in the absolute truth, and he's constantly engaged with body, mind and words in the devotional service of the Lord. So he is knowledgeable in the scriptures, and he has a realization. And the disciple, he has to be faithful, he has to be sincere, and so he has to be simple-hearted also, non-duplicitous, and so free from being